going to integrate them into my bebop scale line that I'm using. Now, it is a scale. I keep using the word scale, but this is the bebop line that I am using as an example. So it is a bebop line. You could use this as an improvisational line.
When I was younger, a couple things drastically changed my improvisation, and I actually remember exactly what they are. In this week's podcast video lesson, I'm going to tell you one of the things that I remember to a T, sitting in my room, kind of discovering when I was analyzing some transcriptions, and this changed my improvisation for the better for absolutely ever, just forever. For the rest of my life, I use it to this day. It's the best element you could probably, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's a extremely, really valuable element you can add to your improvisation. It's up there with the best, I'll just say that. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of JazzPianoSchool.com. My 2 live teaching programs are now open. They're open once a year. My 9-month mastermind program that allows you to work with me and study with me, and my 3-month Accelerator program run by my amazing Jazz Piano School educators. Go to jazzpianoschool.com/group to learn more about those live teaching programs. With that being said, let's dive right in.
All right, so as I said in the intro, this completely changed my improvisation, and I promise you it'll do the same thing for you. So I'm going to take a very simple tool right now. I'm going to take the dominant bebop scale, a C7 dominant bebop scale. So here's our C7 dominant bebop scale. Now, I don't want to go too deep into this. If you don't know what that is, that's completely okay. Essentially, I'm going to use this as a bebop line because it's constantly used as a bebop line to be played in certain circumstances. Right, so that's a classic like bebop line you would hear. You can hear it going down, you can hear it going up. And essentially what's happening here is over a C7 or a 2-5, like a G minor to a C7 chord, we have a scale that is aligning the C7 chord tones on downbeats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So on every single downbeat, the chord tone of my chord that I'm holding down in my left hand right now is being played on the downbeats, and that's why it sounds so good. Now, the reason for this is because of this passing tone right here between the root and the 7 of the chord, right? See this? The little B natural. If I didn't have that passing tone there, my scale, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, all these 3 notes that are not in the chord would be plagued on downbeats, right? So 1 and 2, that's a chord tone, this is a chord tone, but then 1 and 2. So on the downbeat of 2, we'd have this A natural, and 3, on the downbeat of 3, we'd have an F, and 4, we'd have a D natural. Now, it's not to say that it sounds bad necessarily. I mean, it doesn't sound the best, and there are ways to use those extensions in different situations. But for the purpose of bebop, a lot of bebop has chord tones aligned on the downbeats. Excuse me. So what I'm going to teach you here is the bebop scale. Now, obviously, my line sounds pretty simple. If I were just to play a C7 dominant chord in my left hand, that could be a classic bebop line. Someone could play that, and you could be like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Even if I play it with the G minor to the C7, that still sounds pretty good, right? But again, what this podcast is going to be about is spices, and a particular spice and flavor that adds a lot of elegance and just texture and rhythmic just spice, again, for lack of a better word, to your line. It's really going to fluff it up. And so a lot of students, when they're in their intermediate to beginner levels, a lot of their lines are just eighth notes. So they might be playing... Right, now that sounds great. It doesn't sound that bad, but again, we want that rhythmic pop to our line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 16th note ornament, I'm going to integrate them into my bebop scale line that I'm using. Now, it is a scale. I keep using the word scale, but this is the bebop line that I am using as an example. So it is a bebop line. You could use this as an improvisational line. I'm going to take my 16th note ornament and I'm going to place it in different areas of the bebop line. So I'm going to place it on the downbeat of 1. I'm going to place it on the downbeat of 2. Then I'm going to place it on the downbeat of 3. and then I'm going to place it on the downbeat of 4. So when I do that, you're going to hear this pop come out. So here's my bebop 16th note. And what we're going to do is take the notes around the downbeat. So in this case, we have the downbeat here. So I'm going to take my surrounding notes and I'm going to use them as the 16th note ornament. So I'm going to go up first and then I'm going to come back down. Now here are the notes I'm using. So, right, the C, B natural, B flat. So I'm going to go up 1 E and 2. So I've created an ornament around my note that I'm using. I'm pivoting back up just in a diatonic way. We don't want to do anything weird or go outside the key. Just use the notes surrounding the downbeat of whatever note you're on. 1 E and 2. So I've created that ornament. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'll do it again. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now the magic to this really comes from when you start to do it a little bit quickly, and so it gives it that pop, right? So check this out. Right, so I'm really creating a kind of a quick ornament. Let me do it in a different register so you can hear it with a different perspective. Right, so I'm going 2, 3, 2, 1, and crossing over to 3, or 2 if you want, doesn't really matter. Right? So it definitely gives it a really nice, elegant, flavorful pop to a lesser kind of, I don't want to say more bland, but just a minimal kind of floaty 8th note line, right? It really starts to provide some pop and rhythmic expression to your line when you start to integrate these ornaments. So that's going to be on the downbeat of 1. We've just placed it on the downbeat of 1. Right? So 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now we're going to place it on the downbeat of 2. So instead of on the downbeat of 1, we're going to go 1 and 2 E and 3. I'm doing the exact same thing, but now I'm placing my ornament on the downbeat of 2. The downbeat of 2 is this note B flat, so I'm going pivoting up to the C. Now my line is coming down, and that's why I'm pivoting up for the first note. I don't want to pivot down for my first note, right? That's not going to sound good. You want to pivot in the opposite direction that your line is going. So if I'm coming down with my line, I'm going to pivot back up 1 step and then come back down. 2 E and 3, right? You see that? So 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? So now I'll do it a little faster. I'm just going to play the ornament. Different register here. Okay. Excuse me, that sneeze came out of nowhere. So here we go. 1 and 2 E and 3, 4 and 1. Kind of hard to count and play. I won't count this time. Right, and up here in the register. Sounds great. And again, that's on the downbeat of 2. So let's go to the downbeat of 3. And so I will give you the G is on the downbeat of 3. So what notes do you think you're going to play here? Again, nothing fancy. Don't use any like weird extensions, although you can get into that. We're not doing that right now. We're keeping it basic and simple with diatonic notes in our C7 Mixolydian mode or scale, essentially, in our bebop scale, right? So I'm just going to start on the G. I'm going to go back up to the A, back down to the G, and then continue down to the next note here. 3 E and 4. See that? So here it is. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1. Okay. A little faster here. Right? Sounds great. Love it. So that's being placed on the downbeat of 3, right? Finally, we're going to place it on the downbeat of 4. So again, here's my downbeat of 4. Is this E natural? Okay. Love it. Whoops. So you can experiment with this. Like take a line, and again, it might take some figuring out. It doesn't work everywhere. If I were playing a line like, when I have a different bebop motion, like at the end of this bebop line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, I had a double chromatic leading back up into the third. I couldn't really place a 16th note ornament here on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It just doesn't work when you have like that big skip. So it does take a little bit of getting used to. It takes some finesse. I'd recommend you just practice very simply with your bebop lines, with your bebop scales right now. Then start to take some lines and start to integrate them and work on integrate them on different beats of your lines. Even if it's just starting out, even if you just start your line out like, right? Just start on beat 1 and start to try and integrate that little 16th note triplet. When you do this, obviously you can hear the pop. You're going to hear amazing rhythmic expression start to come to life in your improvisational lines. And again, this is just going to uplift the sound of your improv to that really, really fun, bouncy improv stuff that you hear all over, not just with pianists, but trumpet players, sax players. Everybody's using this type of small, little nuanced rhythmic expression in their improvisational lines. And when you do that, your improv is going to sound that much better. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll talk to you soon.
Well, if you enjoyed that video lesson, definitely go ahead and subscribe to the Jazz Piano School YouTube channel because we release a new lesson video just like the one you saw every single week. And we have other content educational series called Tips, Tricks, and Transcriptions that we release every single week as well. And don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of the other amazing free education available there. And if you're looking to take some next steps on your jazz piano journey, we do have a membership available, many courses, and even live teaching programs that allow you to work with myself and my staff of Jazz Piano School educators. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. Thank you so much for watching, and happy practicing.